Hello guys, welcome back. Hope you all are good. So from this video we are going to learn a new chapter which is human health and diseases. This is your seventh chapter, and as the name and the title implies, we are going to learn about the diseases that affects human health. Okay, so that's what we are going to learn from this chapter. So let us start with what we are going to learn from this chapter. So we'll be learning about the common diseases that affects human beings, and how can we maintain personal and public hygiene to prevent all these diseases, and the basic concepts of immunology, immunodeficiency diseases, autoimmune diseases, adolescents, drug and alcohol abuse, and mental health, depression. So from this video, we'll be learning only about the common diseases in human being. That too will be focusing on only three group of disease pathogens, and remaining things I'll be posting in another video. So let us begin. So let us learn the very basic introduction about what is health, what is disease. So when you call a person he is healthy, he or she is healthy. So according to World Health Organization, a person is considered healthy when he shows a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely absence of disease. In simple, it means a person who is considered as healthy should show all these three attributes. And even if he doesn't have a disease, there are some people who are still poor in health. So let me just give you an example. So consider a grandmother. So she is around 73 years old. So she can able to go and purchase her things for cooking and other things, and also she can interact with the people. She can walk a mile without any difficulties. Then, and she doesn't have any disease. Okay, then that grandmother or old person is called healthy person. Likewise, you can compare another grandmother the same age. The same grandmother, another same grandmother, she's not able to walk for a mile. She needs someone's support. She doesn't have any disease, okay, but still she's physically weak, and she's not even able to interact with the people as well. So then she is considered as poor in health, though she doesn't have any disease. So that is what it actually means. A person who is considered as healthy, he should show physical, mental and social well-being even if he doesn't have any disease. Okay, so how do we attain a perfect health condition? We can do that so by balanced diet, regular exercise and healthy attitude. And when you talk about disease, so the name disease itself has its meaning. Dis means without, ease means comfort, without comfort. So in simple, disease or disturbed ease is a condition of a disturbed function of the body or body parts. So when a person is affected by any disease, his body parts or his body function will be affected. So there will be a discomfort. So that is what we call disease. Okay. So do not confuse with being healthy with also being disease free. So these two things are not the same. So sometimes people without disease also poor in health, like I told you, the weak grandmother. So let us just see the differences between healthy and disease free. So as I told you, the person who is really healthy, he or she will show complete physical, mental and social well-being, so which that will help them to lead a socially and economically productive life. So when you talk about disease-free people, so it is a state of discomfort, absence of discomfort without disease. In simple, there is no disease at all in the body. So that is what we call disease-free person. Okay, but still you cannot call them as healthy people. Sometimes people without disease will be healthy, or sometimes they can be unhealthy too. And again, this healthy, it depends on individual as well as physical and social environment. So if a person is growing in a very well good family with good people, surrounded by good people, and also eat good foods, good lifestyle, and also do physical activities regularly, then he will be definitely healthy. And again, disease free, it is related to the individual only, right? So the person might whether he has a disease or not, we can say based on the individual person only. And sometimes a healthy person will be or will also be disease free. Okay, so they might not even have any disease. And but when you talk about disease free people, sometimes they can be healthy or sometimes they cannot be healthy. So this is the difference between healthy and disease free, so do not confuse with that. So I hope you guys what does health actually means and what does disease exactly mean. So let us learn the common diseases in human beings. So I already explained to you guys what is disease means. So when a person is affected by disease, his body conditions and or his body functions or part of its body will be disturbed. And we can also define disease as malfunction of the mind or body, or sometimes we can call it disorder. And how do we find when a person is affected by the disease? We can easily observe based on the symptoms and signs, which can be observed through the morphological changes, physiological changes, such as, well, like when you are experienced heavy fever, or then your body temperature will rise up. And psychological changes, say for example, when you're sick, definitely will be depressed and stressed out. And what are the factors that are responsible for these diseases? We have environmental factors. We can say when during weather change, say for example, during every season, there will be a lot of different disease will be associating with the different seasons, and those agents are called pathogens. So like virus, bacteria, fungi, helminthes, and so on. And so there are in many cases sometimes it's genetics, so it's just passed down from the parent to the child. And whenever even sometimes people, if they are really healthy, if they don't follow proper lifestyle, and if they follow unhealthy lifestyle, then they'll experience a lot of non-infectious diseases. I'll explain you what is non-infectious diseases later. So for lifestyle changes, we can say that the person is not following proper balanced diet and physical exercise. We can say corporate life. People who work in corporate company, most of them don't do physical activity, and their working platform is like they'll have to sit for a very long time, so it's a kind of a sedentary work. Again, that reduces the life longevity, at the same time affects a lot of physiological function and create a lot of different disorders in the body. Now we can classify disease broadly into two categories. One is infectious or communicable diseases. Another one is non-infectious or non-communicable diseases. So as the name implies, infectious or communicable disease, it can able to spread from one host organism to other host organisms. So the factors that creating this infectious diseases are called pathogens. So say for example, we have bacteria, viruses, protozoan, fungus, helminths. All these are called pathogens because they can able to create disease once they affects the organisms. And among all these diseases, when you talk about bacteria and virus, if the bacterial diseases, almost all type of bacterial diseases can be cured. And when you talk about viral diseases, it's very hard to cure the disease. And how do they transfer, how do they spread from one person to another person is what we call as transmission. So it is done through different medium and different agents. Say for example, we have through air, water, food. So all these different kinds of factors, through this these pathogen can spread from one person to another. Say for example, we also should consider one more thing when we talk about infectious diseases: the portal of entry. So what do I mean by portal of entry? So say for example, if you talk about air, So the pathogens consider bacteria, virus particles, or in the aerosol particles. Okay, so through nose they might even get inside our human body. And when you talk about water, when we drink through our mouth, so likewise food. So this is what we call portal of entry. So again, based on the portal of entry, it will go and affect a different organ system in our body. And so when you talk about transmission of infectious or communicable diseases, it can spread from person to person. And also we have a lot of vectors for that. So what are vectors? Say for example, when I told you about person to person, if I'm affected by fever, then the person who's nearby to me might also be affected by the fever, because it can spread when I sneeze or when I cough. So through air it can spread. But when you talk about vectors, it will be like another organisms, the another infected organisms that will be transmitting the disease. Say for example, we have Anopheles mosquito, which spreads malaria. So, and also we have a lot of flies, house flies, fruit flies. All this carries a lot of these pathogens, and it can able to spread these diseases to humans. And when you talk about non-infectious diseases, it doesn't spread from a person to person, or else there won't be any vectors to spread these diseases. Okay, and we can generally say this non-infectious disease, mostly it is genetics, and sometimes when you follow unhealthy lifestyle changes, and then there is high probability that cancer and carcinogenic disease can be caused. And we that once cancer cells forms, they continuously mutate, and it will be very hard to kill those cells. So the best example for non-infectious disease we can say cystic fibrosis, vitamin deficiency disease, heart attack, stroke. So as I told you, when you don't follow proper lifestyle, what happens? There is high probability that you might experience this heart attack and stroke. So which comes under non-infectious disease, because it doesn't spread from person to person. It is only with that individual person. Either it might be through the genetic cause, or else by not following the proper lifestyle, right? So this is how we can classify diseases generally. So we have infectious and non-infectious. So let us start further, and we'll just learn about the pathogens and how different pathogen creates different kinds of diseases. So we'll be talking about under infectious or communicable diseases. Remember, infectious or communicable disease means it can able to spread from one person to another, either by the person who was affected or by different vectors. So under that we are going to learn about the bacterial diseases. So you all must have already studied about bacteria when you were in 11th standard, and you all must be really thorough with that bacteria contains high species diversity. And although it contains a lot of species, only few species are able to cause harm to humans and other organisms. So such type of bacteria are called pathogenic bacteria. So remember, we also have a lot of good beneficial bacteria. When you talk about your gut intestine inside our body, we have a microflora which is called a probiotic bacteria, which is very essential and good for our gut life, right? So likewise, we have a lot of bacterial species, we have only few species that can cause diseases. So those species are called bacterial pathogenic bacteria, right? Now, and how do they attack? So as soon as it enters through any port, say for example through water or air, or contaminated aerosol particles, so as soon as it enters the host organisms, what happens? It secretes or excretes toxins, as in botulisms. And also in some cases it produces toxin internally, and also they release when the bacteria disintegrate. So we can take an example of typhoid. And some also induce sensitivity to their antigenic properties. When you The best example I can give you is tuberculosis. And how do they transmit? As I told you, that the transmission takes place through air, water, food, and also inhaling contaminated aerosols or droplets. So through this transmission of bacterial diseases takes place, and it affects the human body. And as I told you, most of the common bacterial diseases can be curable, and we have a lot of vaccines also been invented to cure all these bacterial diseases. So when you talk about most common bacterial diseases, we have cholera, tuberculosis, and typhoid. So these three are the most common type of bacterial diseases that affect majority of the human population. And and one more important thing about bacterial diseases, in some cases, that bacteria also might develop antibiotic resistance. So such things are called such process is called bacterial resistant. So what does this bacterial resistant exactly mean? It means when a person takes too much of antibiotic for a specific bacterial diseases, what happens that bacteria will develop a resistant to that specific antibiotic. So even if you try that antibiotic again, it will not work out. So that is what we call bacterial resistant. That is why it is not advisable for us to take antibiotics often when we experience a lot of diseases. We should let our immune system to react and kill the bacteria. Now, so this is how cholera, most common bacterial disease, spread. It spread through water as well as through air. So it also create a lot of symptoms such as muscle cramps, rapid heart rate. Sometimes your body heart rate will be increased, low blood pressure, and people sometimes experience vomiting. And when you talk about tuberculosis, it is a very persistent disease because it takes very long time for us to cure this disease, because the initial period to cure this disease is 6 months, and right now we have a lot of vaccines for that, but still people sometimes experience this tuberculosis. The symptoms we can say heavy cough, and when the person who was affected by the tuberculosis, when they cough, it can able to spread to another person who is in contact with that person. And we have this typhoid, and this typhoid is the most common type of bacterial diseases in India. Especially it affects almost all individual humans, and it spreads through oral, when you eat contaminated food or contaminated water. So as soon as it enters into the body, what happens, it creates a lot and lot of lot of different mechanisms, so that finally leads to the vomit as well as severe nausea. All these are some symptoms of this typhoid. Again, this typhoid is caused by the Salmonella species. We have lot and lot of type of Salmonella species that create different types of typhoid. So to detect typhoid, we use viral test. So it is a kind of a serial dilution test. So from the infected person, the blood will be collected, and in the laboratory analysis, what they'll do, they already have the bacterial suspension. So the main principle of this viral test is, so this bacteria, as soon as it infects the host organisms, so because of this bacteria, the host organisms release specific antibody. So based on that, we use the same method to detect the Salmonella species, and we find out whether it is positive or not. Now, let's talk about viral diseases. So, when you talk about viral diseases, you all probably know about virus. So, there are a lot of debate going about whether virus is a living component when it is outside the host organisms, or it is in living organisms. Still, it's going on. So, they are very submicroscopic, which means you need very too much of resolution to observe this virus particles. And they cannot reproduce on its own when it is outside. So since they don't have a cellular structure like we do, so it will be simply like a genetic material. So they don't have the metabolic machinery. So if you take our cell, inside our cell we have lot and lot of organelles that do lot of functions and process, but they don't have such cellular structures. Since they don't have such cellular structure, they lack metabolic machinery. So it will be simply like a genetic material that will be suspending on the air. So this is the reason why it use the host metabolic machinery. So as soon as it infects the person, what happens? It uses the host cell and uses its host cell's metabolic machinery and multiply and create diseases. And the examples for the common viral diseases, we can say common cold, influenza, AIDS, measles, polio, smallpox, chickenpox, etc. Though there are some, for some viral diseases, we have vaccines already available. So but still there are many group of viruses that can never be cured because they continuously mutate. Say for example, this common cold, which is caused by a specific type of virus, it just continuously mutates, so it's very hard for us to create vaccine and also to cure. So, as I told you, they are very obligate parasites. So they multiply within the living cells. They don't multiply when they are outside the host organisms, since they don't have the metabolic machinery. So and also once they infect the living cell, they will force the cells to create more viruses. So then the new viruses break out of that cell and it will kill it and invade other cells. Likewise, it will continuously multiply and produce a lot of viral cells. So as I told you, the best example we can say the rhinoviruses, which is responsible for the common cold that we experience often. And as I told you, this rhinovirus, every time it just affect the human body, it continuously mutate, which means it continuously changes its shapes and structure. So what happens because of that? It's very difficult for us to cure that disease. So again, we can classify viral diseases based on the symptoms. So we can classify them into four categories. So if they affect our respiratory tract, so and then we can say that as pneumotrophic diseases. Okay. So say for example, we can take coronavirus and a best example for the respiratory or pneumotrophic viral diseases. Coronavirus, SARS, MERS, all these are examples for the pneumotrophic viral diseases. And we have dermotrophic diseases. We can this dermotrophic viral species, say for example the chickenpox virus and measles virus, that affects our skins and subcutaneous tissues. So this is the chickenpox virus. And we have a viscerotrophic diseases, which means it affects our bloods and visceral organs. So and affected by we can say yellow fever and dengue fever, and as an example for the viscerotrophic diseases. So this is a dengue virus that causes dengue fever in human body. And we have neurotrophic diseases, as the name implies. This kind of viruses will affect our nervous system and creates rabies and polio. Fortunately, we have a vaccine for this polio. So that's all, guys. So today, from this video, we have only seen the bacterial and viral diseases, and protozoan diseases and prevention plasmodium life cycle. I'll be sharing it with another video. So make sure that you watch this video and take notes, and have a great day. Thank you, guys.